Hi everyone, Marin Hirsch here, Sales Manager at NetElixir. Thank you so much for joining our webinar today on Friday, January 23rd. We're so excited you could join us. We're going to be discussing today how to supercharge the SERP, or Search Engine Results page, for your business. So to get started, I'm going to give you a brief background about NetElixir. Our mission here is to help digital marketers succeed online. We were founded in 2004 and incorporated in 2005. We are a global search marketing agency with our headquarters in Princeton, New Jersey, and we have a team at NetElixir of over 75 phonetically analytical search marketers, and we've spent over 5.5 million hours on search marketing. So at NetElixir, we offer 3 different business lines for services, technology, and consulting. Under services, we do full management of paid search, Google Shopping, search engine optimization, social media optimization, and then we have our own proprietary technology. It's our enterprise level technology, a multi-channel online marketing platform called NetElixir. Then we also have free search marketing tools for small businesses called NetElixirmarketplace.com. And then for companies that are looking for a do-it-yourself tool, it's an SEO toolkit and task manager for small businesses called NetElixir SEO. And then we do consulting as well, analytics, digital marketing strategy, and executive dashboard design. So it's really been important for us at NetElixir to understand those that are searching online and why they're clicking. What is inspiring them? Are they, what are they looking for? What are they feeling? What are they thinking? So it's been a really big mission of ours to analyze each and every click. So our data scientists have been analyzing the search marketing data and collecting all that information so we can humanize each and every click. So here's just a sampling of some of the clients we work with. No two businesses are alike, so it's really important for us to understand the nuances of each of our clients in order to create a customized strategy for them. So about NetElixir University. We were launched in 2012 and have had a goal of sharing best practices in retail and digital marketing with 10,000 businesses worldwide by the end of 2015. We invite you to join our LinkedIn group to share the knowledge with you as well, NetElixir University. So a brief background about today's presenter. It's Udayan Bose, our founder and CEO at NetElixir. He also founded PartyBingo.com and is a guest lecturer. He has lectured at Johnson School of Management, Cornell University, City University of New York, Baruch, and the Indian School of Business. The topics we're going to be covering today for our webinar, talking about the search engine results page. First, we'll be doing research and sharing our findings with you on how to maximize the value of the SERP. Then we'll be providing 4 recommendations for search marketers, and then we'll be discussing NetElixir's SERP scorecard. So Udayan, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much, Marin. Thanks a lot. So what I'm going to be doing over the next about 20 minutes is share with you insights from our research study that we conducted at the NetElixir University. And it was a very interesting study because we tried to quantify the impact on revenues of a search engine results page. So SERP, again, for those of you who may not be very familiar with the terminology, SERP or SERP stands for Search Engine Results Page. It's the page that you really see whether you go to Google or Bing once you really type in a keyword. So this is how a SERP really looks like. So this is for one of our clients, Lenovo. We typed in Lenovo Yoga tablet, and we are able to see that there are multiple segments in the search page, and this is the SERP. So effectively, paid search is the one which you see as sponsored listings. You have the PLA, product listing ads, or what is also called the Google Shopping ads. And you also have the organic listings. These are essentially what Google really started with. Initially it was just a combination of a few organic listings before the paid search really came by. And what we are going to analyze is how does having a particular ad have a certain share of the page really contribute to its overall revenues and growth. So again, one of the things, again, very mathematically, if you really divide the page into different segments, you would see that the paid ads between PLA and paid search, they have about 75% of the unscrolled SERP. When I say unscrolled SERP, is above the fold when you sort of type in the Google bar. And the organic ads have about 25% share of the page. But we have observed in terms of our research that despite organic search having just about 25% share of the page, they still have about 65% of the visitors still prefer to click on the organic ads. Can be for any of the following reasons. It can be probably just because people do not want to click on, or probably they believe that an ad may not be as credible or believable. Probably it can be just that organic search look a lot more authentic and normal on a regular extension or expression of a website, what the message that you are essentially trying to convey to your visitors. It can be multiple reasons. So essentially we are going to take a very different and a unique perspective on how can we really maximize the revenue from the search result page. Now, so let me try to sort of draw an analogy here. And the analogy that I sort of draw here is probably with a supermarket shelf. Or so typically, I mean, as you really sort of go into the supermarket shelf, every brand is vying to get so-called the premier position on the shelf, right? And understandably, because I mean, if you are very clearly visible in the line of sight, then the probability of the person or the shopper purchasing your brand goes up quite significantly. So the SERP also is very, very similar to that. Very similar to that for a couple of reasons, primarily because we have actually observed that where exactly your ad appears on the SERP and really determines a lot or influences a lot the probability of your success. When I say success, the probability of someone clicking on your ad and then finally making a purchase. So let me move on a bit. And so with that premise, we went ahead and conducted this research. This was done about a year back, less than a year back, I would say about 6 months. And what we tried to do is we tried to assess the aggregated impact of PPC, which is the paid search ads, the text ads, the PLA, the product listing ads, or the Google shopping ads, and SEO is the organic listing, which is the only non-ad variant out here. It was the first time, I must mention, that any company worldwide had conducted such a research based on actual live campaign data. So we considered about 33 different campaigns, and we would have probably included about 5 million search queries over this entire span of time during this research process. The hypothesis with which we start with, the real estate occupancy of the unscrolled SERP is directly proportional to the returns from search marketing. So essentially, the more space that you occupied on the unscrolled space, search page, higher is your revenue from that particular page. The assumption was, again, that's what I have just sort of stated. And the third, the overall method was very clearly a statistical data analysis based method. And we focused exclusively on the non-trademark terms. Now, when I say non-trademark terms, these are non-brand terms. So if, let us say, Lenovo was a part of our study, we wouldn't include Lenovo as such, primarily because, again, thereby it sort of skews. A stronger brand obviously would have a higher percentage clicking on, etc., etc. So we didn't really want to get influenced by that. So overall, in terms of the method that was used, we started with a pre-test period. And as I mentioned, the study actually started in Feb 1st, 2014, and it ran for roughly about 90 days, a little less than 90 days. And it was only PPC. So PPC, or the paid search, or the sponsored text ads, were the control variable in this case. Then we tried to analyze for only those non-trademark keywords where we could see the PPC, the product listing, and the organic ads all above the fold or on the unscrolled search page. And that time period also we had kept it roughly about 3 months. And again, as I mentioned, this was restricted to the non-brand keywords, but we focused exclusively on the non-mobile SERP. So when I say non-mobile, again, a very important distinction, again, just to simplify. So what we are really observing at NetElixir is that mobile devices or search originating from mobile devices now accounts for, I mean, more than 30% of all the search queries which are happening. So let us say this study was done on the balance 70%, which are desktop searches as such. Analysis was limited to the non-trademark keywords or non-brand keywords, only for which the ads were appearing over the fold. So understandably, from those huge section of keyword search queries, we had to obviously filter it down to a much smaller group. It sort of came down by almost to about 5.6 to 6% of the entire search queries, primarily because we wanted to identify and focus only on those wherein you had all the PPC, the PLA product listing ads, so the Google Shopping ads, and the organic listings all appearing above the fold. PPC listing was the controlling element. So essentially, when I say controlling element, we wanted to measure that if only the paid search, the PPC text ad was visible, we recorded the overall traffic as well as the revenue or the conversions. And then if we had the PLA ads as well as the SEO listings visible as well above the fold, what was the overall impact in terms of conversion? Did it go up just because you had more or you were covering more of the retail or the search engine real estate, or did it really go down? So that's I think what the big part of the study was. I must also very clearly mention that only the last click order attribution was really applied. So what exactly do I mean by last click order attribution? So typically we have observed that normally a person doesn't really search, click, and immediately buy. They probably still do. I mean, still 70% of the people just sort of search, immediately click, and make a purchase. But the balance 30 to 35% really takes some time between the first click and making the purchase. Maybe they first click on a paid search ad, go to the site, do not buy anything. Maybe they come back after about 3 days, click on an organic listing, go to the site, do not buy anything. They come back maybe through a Facebook posting, and they probably sort of buy something. So in that case, the last click would have happened on the Facebook ad. So it's the most immediate click prior to a purchase is what I am referring to when I say the last click attribution. We also use certain data normalization factors. Now, effectively, as I mentioned, different brands have different times. So that was really that was really sort of excluded. That brand skew we avoided by focusing exclusively on the non-brand keywords. So that was taken care of. Then we try to sort of focus on the budgets because understandably a bigger marketer would have a significantly higher budgets than a smaller marketer. But we really wanted to sort of normalize everything so that it became an apples to apples comparison. The second part was seasonality. So in certain cases, let us say February is a big Valentine's Day month. May is a big Mother's Day month. And so on. So we wanted to really sort of smoothen the data, as we call, again in very statistical term, so that it focused on an like-to-like comparison as such. We also had to normalize based on the product categories as such. When I say product categories, I mean that there are certain categories which may seem a huge spurt. For example, let us say a new product has been launched. And obviously because of all the marketing drive, there is a big spurt in that particular category. Or maybe there is some news coverage on a particular thing and suddenly it shoots up. So all those abnormal one-time orders and the product category linked, what we call the aberrations, were really factored in as well. And then we had to really normalize for geography. So essentially all the data that was collected was for national data as such, because suppose we had to skew in certain cases. There are certain marketers who definitely had a stronger customer or a client base on the East Coast. So we had to really sort of factor those parts in as well. So it was a pretty comprehensive statistical study that we really sort of underwent. And I wanted to share these results with you. So again, before I start sharing the results, again, the concept here is we started with a very simple hypothesis that if you occupy a higher percentage of the unscrolled or above the fold SERP or search engine results page, that directly would mean a direct or a clear lift in your overall conversions or sales as such. So let us say the research finding, and this is incidentally just a representative page. Please do not take it as anything specific on the Lenovo part. This is, as I mentioned, we used about data from about 33 different retail clients of ours to really come across with this study. And so essentially, what really happened when we saw only Google Shopping ads versus Google Shopping plus PPC plus PLA. So when all of the three were put together, the Google Shopping conversions went up by 29%. So let us say, let me explain this a little more at this stage. So let us say you had only Google Shopping ads displayed, right? When you compare that with Google Shopping plus PPC plus SEO, there is a 29% lift in the overall conversions coming from Google Shopping. Similarly, there was a 18% lift coming from PPC. That's wonderful. So essentially, Google Shopping conversions grew, the PPC conversions grew as a result of being bundled together on the search page and dominating a higher page. But what really suffered, and that was a bit of a disappointment for us, was the organic listing results. So essentially, the organic listing results fell by about 12%. What was the impact on the overall orders? The overall orders, or the aggregate orders, went up by 10.7%, almost about an 11% jump, which is quite significant. I mean, if you really look at just the quantum of orders or sales revenue or number of transactions, I mean, 11% is a substantial lift, specifically when considered over a 90-day period. Now, so what was happening here? So this is very interesting, because somehow it seemed that being present on PPC and SEO really helped Google Shopping. It also seemed that being present on Google Shopping and SEO helped PPC. But it seems that being present on Google Shopping and PPC somehow didn't really help SEO. So again, that is something which is a very interesting phenomena that we have been observing. And probably I would think it has been observed by my friends at Google as well. It is probably to an extent can be correlated with their constant or a continuing drive to push down the organic listings. And that's, while it is concerning, it is understandable from Google's monetization perspective as well. So what are the recommendations based on this for the search marketer? The first is, I mean, it also sort of indicates a very important thing. It indicates that it always helps to have a holistic approach towards search marketing. So whether you have, I mean, we have seen many companies have a different SEO department, a different PPC department, a different Google Shopping department. Honestly speaking, in many cases, they may be working, in certain cases, counter to each other. So we would very strongly recommend whoever your SEO management or SEM management is being taken care of should be one entity, one person, or at least one head who is managing the entire thing. Otherwise, it becomes almost like, in certain cases, you're almost like competing with each other. That shouldn't be the case. If all of them are being managed by one entity, we have seen, and again, very clearly proven by the research, it really amplifies the overall presence that you have and the money that you can make out of a search engine results page. The second, which is again specific for the retail industry, I know we have a few guests joining today from the travel industry, so this may not be as pertinent for you because product listing ads are not there in the travel industry. But again, I mean, PLAs we see for the retail sector are driving more than 30% of all the last click conversions coming from paid ads. 30% is a huge number. And this number in certain categories like beauty products, pet supplies, can actually go up to as much as about 50% plus. So again, product listing optimization, probably about a year back, you could have easily passed by sort of having one guy do multiple stuff, knows a little bit about PLA, but now you need a specialist because, I mean, it's a significant chunk of your revenues which are being driven through the product listing ads. The third is identifying the SERPs for domination. When I say identifying the SERPs for domination, understandably, we have through this research promoted or highlighted the importance of managing SERP as a storefront, right? Managing SERP as almost like how can you maximize the shelf space and your visibility on the shelf space. So understandably, every company wants to do that. Now, for an average keyword, we have seen that there are close to about 5,870 paid search advertisers. Per keyword, there are 5,870 paid advertisers. Think of the amount of competition, and understandably, everyone wants to dominate their SERP. Now, since again there is money involved, budget involved, understandably, again the big budget marketers definitely have an advantage. So these recommendations are more focused towards, let us say, middle market marketers or mid-market companies or retailers and so on and so forth, I think it's very important for you to ask certain fundamental queries for selecting keywords, because keywords or search queries ultimately lead to a SERP or a search landing page. So question that you need to consider is, do you really have a competitive edge on this particular product? I mean, what are your chances of success on this particular product that you are trying to appear high on, or you are trying to dominate the SERP for? Is there an association, a very clear, unique association of a product with your brand? When I say product, I keep on saying that query equals product, almost that philosophy. It is primarily because let us for a moment say that you are selling men's shoes, right? But men's shoes is a too broad a term. But what is that particular niche within men's shoes category that you really want to dominate as expressed by a non-brand keyword? So let us say you I want to dominate brown men's shoes. Is that specific enough? Probably not. Can you really put brown men's shoes sold from a store in Houston? That is much more long tail. That is much more specific. And it wouldn't be bad if you want to dominate the SERP for such a long tail specific hyper targeted keyword, because I mean, as we have seen, that you can really gain a significant lift in your overall conversions by managing the properties. And the other thing is the competition is obviously not really that much if you really select your keywords very carefully. The last thing, again very important, is you have to consider the search volume. I mean, if you can't really select a super long tail keyword, probably about 20 words long search query, just because there would not be any search volume which would make any impact for your business, right? So it's always a balance, but the to-dos for you, I mean, and I would probably put on my professorial hat and say that the most immediate thing that you need to do is have a very deep think about what exactly are those keywords. Let us say you select those 5 or 10 keywords that you really want to dominate the SERP for. Because honestly speaking, it is becoming very, very clear that if you dominate the SERP, you make much more money. It is multiplied significantly, and it sort of makes for a perfect business case. I'll just end with, I can't really sort of hold back, and I know probably my friends from our Google agency may be attending this as well. So, so what is the future of SERP? Now, this has been asked by me, asked to me by quite a few retailers, and I think while it is obviously concerning, because let us say in 2013 we had about 2.5 organic listings appearing above the fold, or let us say unscrolled page, you could see about 2.5 to 3 organic listings. But if you look at September 2014, I'm talking about the non-brand keyword, not brand keywords, non-brand keyword, you probably can barely see half an organic listing. You'll be very lucky to see 1 organic listing, and in all probability, if it is a very informational keyword, it probably would be Wikipedia listing, right? So understandably, the SEO results are getting pushed down constantly. And as I mentioned, I am blunt enough to state that I believe this is a very clear, purposeful attempt by Google to push down the organic results. But at the same time, I also believe that they have reached a limit. I believe so. Reached a limit primarily because Google is now risking almost like getting that searcher discontent out. I mean, people want the organic listings. I mean, very clearly the traffic studies that we have done show that. Then why are you sort of constantly pushing them down? Do not push them down so much that visitors start leaving you. And that is where I would want to share with you a rather strong news article from Bloomberg, which shows that after 5 years, Google actually has lost 1.6% share of US search, and it has lost that amount to Yahoo. And this is a press release on which was about 10 days old, Jan 8th, 2 weeks old, which came out in Bloomberg, and that is something which is definitely concerning. So for that one big reason, I would very strongly think that the overall SERP composition that you see today, at least in terms of the percentage visibility to the organic listings, I think has been maxed out. I would be very surprised, honestly speaking. I mean, anything can happen. I mean, it's difficult to predict as to what Google would do. But I would be very surprised if Google keeps on pushing organic listings even further, primarily because data very clearly shows that Google searchers may not be liking it as much. So that's what I had to share with you. I would love to answer your questions if you have any. It's a very interesting topic, but let me sort of hand over to Marin, and she'll take you through the last few slides of the presentation.
Thank you, Dan. That was really fascinating and educational. So the question now is, are you dominating the search engine results page? So NetElixir wanted to evaluate the chances of a marketer dominating the SERP, so we built a unique tool using our proprietary algorithms to calculate your chances for success of dominating a particular SERP. So I'm actually really pleased to offer today's attendees a SERP scorecard. We will actually calculate your score for paid search, Google Shopping, and SEO for 2 of your most important non-brand keywords. There actually are 10 different factors when calculating each score, and there's a bonus multiplier if you're present in all 3 listings, which we use to calculate your final score. So if your score is less than 35, it's definitely something to be concerned about. If your score is between 36 and 65, you have a higher chance of dominating the SERP, and if your score is 65 or more, you have the best chance. So if you're going to be attending ETL West next month, we can actually schedule a one-on-one session at our booth 401 to discuss the results, or else we can certainly schedule a web meeting at your convenience. So if you'd like to go ahead and sign up for the complimentary SERP scorecard, you can use the URL listed, or you can always email me directly, marin@netelixir.com. All right, so just to mention real quick, we love sharing knowledge at NetElixir University, so I wanted to highlight our resource archive here. We post all of our past webinar presentations on our website, and here's the URL if you'd like to go ahead and check them out. Also, we share weekly insights into search marketing with our blog here, so please feel free to check out our blog. And then I mentioned in the beginning about our free search marketing tools at elixirmarketplace.com. So what we're going to do now is open it up to questions for the past few minutes. So please go ahead and enter any questions that you have, and we'll try to answer as many as we can, and then we'll certainly reach out to anyone else afterwards if there are any additional questions that we can't get to today. So the first question, Udayan. Okay, so here we go. Let's see here. What is your recommendation for SEO since it continues to be pushed down? Should I no longer invest in SEO?
That's an interesting question, Marin. That's a controversially interesting question. And as I mentioned, honestly speaking, SEO, according to me, again, this is entirely my personal opinion, is the most authentic representation of the values of your brand. SEO is your brand, right? So honestly speaking, you don't really have to do anything special for SEO. You just have to let the world see the real self. And I don't think any paid format can really do it as well as SEO. So in fact, at NetElixir, we promote something called an authentic SEO practices very, very heavily. And I don't think it's a question of under investing in SEO. It's a better question. I mean, do you really want is my brand being adequately represented in a fashion that I really want the world to really see at my brand? So it's definitely not a question of underinvesting. It is just, I think something which is essential and important for your being presence online.
Great, thank you so much. Let's see here. So Udain, what's the difference between PLA and shopping, which I think the person meant Google Shopping?
Again, I must start with an apology. I should have clarified. So product listing ads and the Google Shopping ads are pretty much the same. I mean, we can go into the minor sort of technical details in terms of differences, but for all practical purposes, they're exactly the same. So I apologize. I should have clarified it earlier as well.
Okay, so here's another question. What are the tools to use for deep analysis of search queries that bring the traffic in? I know AdWords and analytics change the actual type terms to similar or generated terms, which isn't helpful at all.
Yeah, that's again a great question. Now, I must again sort of mention, yes, I mean, that not provided was a big problem because you couldn't really identify the specific search queries which was leading to traffic. We at NetElixir, we use our own tools. We have our own keyword research and generation tool. We also use a great tool from SEMrush as well, which I think is a great tool which just sort of gives you a sense of the overall space. But most importantly, I would again recommend that if you really study the quantum of traffic which is being sent or sourced through the paid formats, you get a fair understanding of, or which can be on an extrapolation basis, how much are you really realistically getting from an organic listing perspective. So again, as I mentioned, we have our own tool. We obviously use the Google Traffic Estimator, and then we use SEMrush at NetElixir. So these are the three tools that I can recommend.
Awesome, thank you. I think we have time for probably one more question here, Dan. As the Bloomberg report shows, should I reallocate my budget among other search engines?
That's again a great question, and that is something which I wanted to sort of call out loud and clear. We, over the last about 12 months, have experienced this increase in popularity of Bing, let us say, or Yahoo, whatever you sort of want to, the specific search engine as such. For certain categories, actually the overall conversion rate and the efficiency of Bing is actually higher than what we have experienced in Google. This is just purely from a marketer's perspective. So obviously it absolutely is mandatory for you to really look at the Google campaign, Bing campaigns with equal amount of sincerity or commitment as you do your Google campaigns. Because there would be certain specific areas where, as I mentioned, the returns that you can derive from your Bing campaign can even sort of outdo what you get from your Google campaign as such. Yeah.
Great. That's actually all the time we have for today. Any other additional questions, we'll reach out to you after the webinar. If you think of anything else, you can certainly always email me, Marin, at NetElixir.com. And we really do appreciate your time today. Have a wonderful weekend, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Take care, everybody.
Thank you very much.